Okay, everybody, we're gonna make shrimp with lobster sauce today, and it's one of those recipes that every time I make the dish, I wonder, why don't I make this more often? And it's a classic dish. I tell you, this is probably one of the first real wok recipes, aside from fried rice, that I actually cooked at the restaurant. We did make some adjustments to our current recipe on the blog that called for 8 ounces of shrimp, but hey, if you're gonna cook it, might as well make up to 12 ounces and get more of it. I think that was probably from in my restaurant days where we actually use size 15 shrimp, which is 15 per pound. They're giant shrimp, so we only gave 8 to an order. But these are about 16 to 20 size. That'll give you about 16 shrimps. We've got ground pork, which you can use ground chicken, ground turkey. I wouldn't use ground beef because that has such a strong flavor on it. More neutral flavor is better. Or if you're vegetarian, you could just dice up some shiitake mushrooms and put that instead. Pescatarian, that is, not vegetarian. We have an egg, which you want to actually keep your egg cold. We got a little Shaoxing wine, we got scallion, we got some garlic, some mixed up cornstarch slurry here. Here's a controversial one. We have peas in here, right? So peas add to the freshness of the dish, but I know there's a lot of pea haters out there and they say, hey, why the peas? Leave it out. If you don't like the peas, leave it out. We're gonna use chicken stock. Low sodium, please, because low sodium, you can control the salt a little bit better. Like any dish, you wanna make sure you taste that sauce before you plate it. Don't add too much salt up front. You can always add salt, but you can't take it away. I actually learned that from that line from Emeril Lagasse. What we do is we mix the salt, sugar, sesame oil inside the sauce, stir it up so it's one step. You're not fumbling with measuring spoons or anything like that. That's why everything here is in little dishes. I write a whole history of shrimp with lobster sauce, where the name come from, why is it lobster sauce? There's no lobster in it and everything. So you can read about it in our current post. We've updated it, but you can also read a little bit of history on our Cantonese lobster, basically where lobster sauce came from. So check that recipe post out. And another controversial item is that, hey, how come this is a white sauce and it's not dark? I've always had it dark. True. Depending upon where you came from or which restaurant you ate at, and seemed to be, my father used to say, oh, that's how they cook it up in Boston. And I think that's true. If you go up to New England, a lot of times you'll have a darker sauce. You want darker sauce? Add a little bit of soy sauce. Add a little bit of dark soy sauce. You can add a little bit of oyster sauce. And if you like black beans, just toss a little couple in there. No big deal. This is more your, I'll use the word lightly, traditional recipe, what you see in most restaurants these days. If you order shrimp with lobster sauce, it's white. It doesn't have that stronger taste of soy sauce, so you can really taste the shrimp. And do you have to use a wok? You don't have to use a wok, folks. You can use a pan. Just use a little pan. We're not looking for wok hay in this dish, obviously. It's a saucy dish, so you're good. So no excuses. Let's make this dish. Butterflying your shrimp is really important for presentation. If you leave them like this, they're just gonna curl up and be like this. If you butterfly them, they turn into like nice little pretty balls.
I also think they taste better.
There you go. There you go, the mouthfeel. The other practical reason for doing this, and there are some shrimp that are already deveined shrimp. These don't happen to be deveined because they had the shell on them. If you devein them, you don't go as deep. When you butterfly, you go a little bit deeper. And then basically it kind of looks like that, okay? And then you'll see here that there's this little vein here. It's not so little sometimes that you have to take out. And generally, you know, I'm pulling this out to show you, right, this vein. But the best way to do this is butterfly all your shrimp and then just put it in water and kind of squish it around and all the veins will just fall out. So we're gonna butterfly all this shrimp. It's just a quick step like that. Just go like that. You want to use a nice sharp knife. You see how much vein that is in there? It's a lot. It's a sand track, actually. I call it a vein. Sometimes people call it a vein, but it's a sand track. And look at these. This one has a light sand track. A lot of the fresher Gulf shrimp have heavier sand tracks. The farm shrimp, I think, tend to have less, but you know, you'll see this, right? So you can pick out each one of these individually, or you can just wash it.
So if you like agitate it with water, it'll kind of...
That's right. You just agitate it with a little bit of water, and then you can hand pick it, right? This is a big sand track here, right? But you know, this will sort of wash off. A lot of the wild caught shrimp will have sand in them, and if you don't remember to clean them out, you're gonna get a mouthful of sand. These days, farm-raised shrimp tend to have less sand in them. But if you see what happens with this, right? After we take the sand track out, when this cooks, it'll sort of curl up like this and open up, and it'll kind of look like a little ball like this. And it'll butterfly out, which is really nice. So you want to make sure that you get it deep enough, but not too deep. This one's almost a little bit too deep, but it's not too bad. This one's a little bit better. It goes, so you get a little bit less, but you do it a few times, and then you'll get the hang of it.
Cool.
A lot of times you'll get a deveined shrimp, which is like this. So a deveined shrimp is, they only cut this just enough, the back, just enough to get the sand track out, and then that's it. But you don't, then again, you don't, after that, you don't get the butterfly effect. So even if it's deveined and clean, you're gonna wanna go through that and just open it up a little bit to butterfly it, and then you'll get the full effect. So let me show you. Usually a deveined shrimp looks like this. And all it is barely, just the top is taken off so that they can clean it. And what you want to do is, if you got the deveined shrimp, you just want to take your knife and just go over it slightly. So you open it up a little bit and it'll butterfly, just like that. And then obviously this will be cleaned and deveined shrimp, and you don't have to worry about that step.
So why don't you buy deveined shrimp?
Sometimes deveined shrimp is more expensive. Sometimes it's not quite as fresh. They all should be fresh frozen, but what happens is when you get shell-on shrimp, you get less. There's just less processing. So I think that's why I prefer them. All right, I'm going to put these into a bowl now, and we're going to go over to the sink and just give them a rinse and a clean, and make sure that all the sand tracks and the veins are removed. Okay, so just add a little bit of water. And in this case, my parents in the restaurant used to add a little bit of salt. They used to add a little bit of sugar. You can read more about this in How to Prepare Shrimp for Stir Fry. And adding a little salt and the sugar, it all actually helps these veins come out, these sand tracks come out a little bit more. And it also, believe it or not, sort of gives a little bit of a brine kind of effect, where it absorbs a little flavor, and it also makes the shrimp bigger, which was the main reason why we used to do that. But you could see that some of them have fallen off, so the ones that haven't fallen off, like this one fell off, but this one is a big one, it didn't, so you just kind of give it a little tug and just clean it out. This one's a little stubborn. Okay, that should be good. That's clean. That fell off. This one's bigger. And this one has a nice sand track on it. So.
They're huge.
Yeah, this is big. These are wild caught shrimp, and like I said, the wild caught shrimp will have, it's more of a chore to clean them than the farm raised shrimp, for sure. Now I think Judy has a post on how to devein shrimp too, where she uses a toothpick and everything, but that's one. There we go. But in the restaurant, when we're doing like 5 pounds of shrimp at a time, that's why you put a little bit of salt, you put a little sugar, and it kind of like it acts a little bit as an abrasive, and then you put less water in here. There's less water just covering it, and then you squish it around, and it kind of roughs up the shrimp and cleans it. So much better than I have here. But ultimately you do get some of this where you have to pick it off. Okay. This is clean, that's clean. All right. The shrimp's cleaned, but I forgot to mention about the pork and the chicken broth. Why do we use those flavors? And it's because it's kind of a good mix of savory flavors that complements the shrimp. So you got a lot of seafood flavor, you got a little different type of umami with the pork and the chicken stock. So let's go to the wok. All right, we're at the wok ready to cook shrimp with lobster sauce, and I have some water boiling here. We're gonna blanch the pork, and then we're gonna quickly blanch the shrimp. And the reason why we blanch these, pre-blanch these, is to make keep the sauce clean, get all those bits out of there. All right, we're gonna add the pork in, and you just break it up. Might seem like a lot of pork, but that's what makes it really yummy. And again, you might say like, oh, isn't all this stock and water nice? It is. But you know, in order to keep the sauce clean, we do this. We blanch this, and then we just take the pork up. So I'm just gonna do this. And just for expediency and convenience, I am gonna use the same water for the shrimp.
Are you sure that's a good idea? Is it gonna make the shrimp dirty?
It's fine. I just want to cook this shrimp really briefly so that it gets clean. That's it. Up it comes. Don't want to overcook this. It's okay if some of the pork is mixed together, no big deal. So this is like,
You're not kosher.
well, you're not going to be using pork anyway if it's kosher. This is your non-kosher shrimp and lobster sauce. Shellfish. The reason why you blanch the pork is that it dirties the water, okay? So you want a clean sauce. That's what you're looking for. This is what restaurants do. You put the water in, you blanch the pork, cook it, and then you scoop it out with a strainer. And then you leave all the impurities behind, the little blood bits. And then same thing with the shrimp. The shrimp, sometimes you'll get like a little bit of this white film, like you might see it more often in lobster because it has a lot more liquid inside the lobster. Same reason for that. I would say the majority, if not 100%, 99.9% of restaurants, they blanch the shrimp, take it out, and then they put it together with the pork, right? And then they add it later. And what this does is it gives you a cleaner sauce because you've just got your chicken stock, you've got no impurities from your meat, no impurities from the shrimp, you got a clear sauce. While we're on that topic, we use cornstarch because it's convenient. You can use potato starch. A lot of restaurants use potato starch because potato starch is a little bit clearer. It's a clearer sauce, a cleaner sauce, and it's less prone to also turning liquidy, going back into water. So it maintains its body a little bit better. But we've been using cornstarch, more accessible, it's cheaper. That's what we do. All right, so now we quickly wash the wok. Use the bamboo washer. Scrubber, washer. Put the heat back on. Clean my spatula. Okay, so here we go. So this is, again, low heat dish. I'm gonna put it on medium heat, and I don't want it to get too hot. So I'm gonna put a couple tablespoons, or a tablespoon or so of oil in there. We're going to put this in here, and then I'm just gonna add the Shaoxing wine, and then just add the sauce. The stock. Another word about MSG.
That's this big MSG thing on it. MSG.
MSG is totally optional. You can use it, teaspoon, a pinch. If you decide,
It's a lot.
hey, teaspoon is a lot, but if you use water, not low sodium chicken stock, then you use MSG. And in the restaurants, we always had a big stock pot going. And all the leftover chicken bones, pork bones, and things that went into the stock pot. And that stock pot would always be boiling, so you have hot water to cook your dishes with. So anytime you need any kind of water or stock, you do that. But realistically, you can only put so much flavoring in there. You know, how you can only have so much bones and what have you, and you're cooking like crazy. So that stock pot is a very light stock. It's close to water. So if you're using water, you probably want to add some MSG. If you want to add some a chicken bouillon cube or something, you're adding MSG, but you're adding some chicken flavor as well. So that might be a good option. At this point, I could add the pork back in. Let some of that flavor come out. So the egg, I cracked, okay, and I'm just gonna break up the yolk. That's it.
Really?
Yep, you want a slightly beaten egg. You want this egg white to stay white, and you'll see in a minute why. So this is coming up to a boil. Wait for that. Put it on fast forward while we do this. Okay. Got the Shaoxing wine in there. I got the peas, which are frozen. Put those in there. I'm going to stir up the cornstarch. Get that ready. Okay. Gonna add the shrimp back in. And I'm gonna go pour it in. Pour about 3/4 of this in. Oh, there's a lot of shrimp. Okay, it's nice and thick, but you know what? I think it needs to be thickened more. I'm gonna put it all in. Okay, so now what you do is you take this egg and then you spread it over here. Okay, and you just let that cook. And then you spread it around and let it cook. Don't move it. Now this is to get nice white in the egg. Some people, if you like it, you can mix it up and then you get a nice pattern. It's kind of like egg drop soup, what you want to do. But otherwise you just move this like this to cook it like that. And then you see you get that nice white. And then I'm just going to add the scallions. And this dish is done. Ready to plate. Beautiful shrimp. It's not only beautiful shrimp, but then you get that nice pork bits. It's that meat bits in there. You know, as a kid, we used to eat the sauce and not the shrimp. Believe it or not. The sauce was the best part of this. And there you have it. Got a lot of nice sauce in there, flavorful. The white pepper, the sesame oil, all of that. And you see how the shrimp opens up after the butter flying? And it just looks more appealing that way. And as you said, it kind of tastes better. It looks better, it's gonna taste better. And that is your shrimp with lobster sauce. And you see from the video how quickly it came together. It's all in the prep. You know, you prep everything, and even the prep is not that bad. And once you're at the wok, you have everything ready. This is it. Now let's quickly go and eat it. Where's the rice?
Where's the rice?
Where's the rice? I'll get the rice.
Looks awesome.
Oh, it smells good. Stunning. Perfect. Do a taste test.
With this dish, no chopsticks, spoon.
What are you doing?
I'm getting a little bit of rice.
Spoon this on. the
Spoon this
bread.
on the rice? Okay. Okay, you teach me how to eat. I like it. Oh yeah. A little bit of like cradle it in the rice. Get a tiny bit of rice so I don't slobber. Why don't I make this dish more often? So good. Sorry. Look. The shrimp is wonderful, but this little lobster sauce, a little bit of lobster sauce. If you're eating this and all the shrimp are gone and you still got the lobster sauce left, don't despair, because it's real good. Shrimp and lobster sauce, people. Make it at home. Oh, we got quinoa rice.
What? What is this for? Is he trying to kill us? Whatever.
I mean, whatever.
Got some quinoa rice.
It's millet.